East is our next unit. We're going to split the reading into two videos. So this will be the first of two videos on the first reading regarding the Middle East. Right off the bat, there are a couple of items that we just need to have an understanding of what they mean. East versus West. When East is mentioned, it's referencing Arab nations, and when it comes to religion, it's referencing Islam. For the West, it means Europe. The United States would be included in this as well. And as far as the religion is concerned, it's referencing Christianity. The Holy Land. This is the birthplace of three different religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. As far as what's happening there today, this is the place of the Arab-Israeli conflict. We will get much more into that when we dissect the second reading. Moving on from there, the reading early on discusses the Crusades, and the Crusades was this fighting over the Holy Land. The two main religions involved in that were Christianity and Islam. Mentioning the Crusades is important for showing the roots of Christianity and Islam and their interaction. But now we'll fast forward to a much more modern history of the Middle East, and we'll start just before World War I, when much of the Middle East is controlled by the Ottoman Empire, which has ruled for a long time. However, at the time of World War I, the Ottoman Empire is known as the sick man of Europe. The Ottoman Empire is close to falling apart, and sure enough, World War I does the Ottoman Empire in. The Ottoman Empire has fallen apart. So what happens with the Middle East? The British and the French do not believe the Middle East is ready to rule itself, so they set up mandates. If you are under the control of foreign entities, then you are not going to care for something like mandates. And this is the situation that Arabs in the Middle East find themselves in after World War I. A recurring theme we see throughout the Middle East readings is that of oil. So how important is oil in the early 20th century? From a global perspective, there are not that many industrialized nations, and industrialized nations require oil. Those are the countries that demand more oil, and if there are fewer of them, there is not a lot of demand. For the United States, it is one of the industrialized countries, but it has its own oil reserves that it is using, so it is not involved in the Middle East as far as its need to buy oil. With time, though, we reach World War II, and industrialization has really taken off, not only in the United States, but across the world, and this will increase the need for oil across the globe. As for the United States, it's around the World War II time period that it is producing the majority of the world's oil. So it looks like the United States has a lot, but the United States does have its concerns about a long-term supply for itself. So it will start looking elsewhere post-World War II. And that's where Saudi Arabia comes into play, but its relationship with the United States occurred between this World War I and World War II time period when the US gave some aid to Saudi Arabia. So they developed a relationship prior to World War II, and maybe more importantly for the United States, prior to the oil fields that are in Saudi Arabia being discovered. How important is this? Saudi Arabia produces about 25% of the world's oil today. So they have a lot of oil that is accessible, and the United States was a beneficiary of this. as more and more Middle East countries discovered that they had access to oil, the United States' interest in the Middle East has risen significantly. If you're not familiar with the Persian Gulf, do yourself a favor. Pull up a map of the Middle East, locate the Persian Gulf, and make note of all the countries that border it. It's these countries that hold extreme importance for the United States and its relationship with Middle Eastern oil. In the next video, we're going to continue with reading number 1, but we're going to shift gears from oil to Israel and discuss its creation. We'll see you next time.